Hello everybody, welcome to 27. Today we're going to be doing some quick buying notes on Porsche 968s and 944s. I'm here with Phil Raby from Philip Raby Porsche. They're based in Chichester in the south of England, and we're just going to be talking through it. Now we've got a 968 here, a Club Sport, but the 944s, 968s, there aren't huge differences amongst them, but Phil will sort of mention it if there's anything in particular.
The 944 was announced by Porsche in 1981, and it was basically a follow-up to the 924, which was always a little bit underpowered, although a great handler. The 944 really evolved from the 924 Carrera GT, which was a limited edition race version of the 924. So which one should you get? The 944 ran from 1981 to 1992 when the 968 came out. One of the major milestones there was in 1985 when they changed to the oval dash, which was much better looking than the blocky original design. The 190 horsepower 16 valve 944S, although desirable, didn't actually sell that well in those days, and it wasn't enough of a jump from the then standard base model 944. What you should try and get if you can is the S2, which has the 3 litre 211 horsepower engine. That's probably the best all-round 944 of all of them. In 1989, the base 944 was upgraded to 2.7 litres, so the power only went up by a couple of horsepower, but it became a more flexible engine for better overtaking, so that's also worth noting. Finally, in 1992, the 968 replaced all the 944 models, and it is really the most polished of all. Really, it comes down to which look you prefer and what budget you have.
Now Phil, when we were talking earlier, you basically just told me, well, it's going to be quite a short buyer's guide because nothing much goes wrong with these cars. Is that actually the case?
I think it is. The 968 was the last of the line of the 924, 944, then the 968.
Yeah.
So Porsche pretty well got it sorted.
Fantastic.
And of course, it's the newest one of the bunch, so they haven't been around as long.
Yeah.
So they don't tend to rust too badly. It's a galvanised body shell, so you don't have to worry about rust. If it is rusty, you think, well, has it had a crash or something?
Okay.
Because you shouldn't.
944s, on the other hand, can be prone to rust, so you really do need to look at that. And it tends to happen particularly around the sills and around the rear suspension mountings. If you have to repair that, you're really going to be looking at about £3,000 per side once you've got all the welding and the repainting and all that stuff done. So it's not an insignificant cost.
But the key with them is to find one that's been looked after and regularly serviced. Servicing is key on these. There's cam belts and cam followers which need to be changed at regular intervals. And they like to have regular oil changes too. So if you take this little ventilation panel out, you can poke a torch in there and see if the seals have gone rusty.
Oh, okay, right.
To be honest, that's more relevant for an older 944 or a 924. If you want to have a look in, fine, but I don't think you're going to find rust on a 968.
Okay, that's great to know. What about the interiors?
The interiors are pretty rock solid. I mean, they're ridiculously over-engineered. If you start taking one to pieces, there's big nuts and bolts holding all the trim together. So there's not a lot to go wrong. Make sure the heating system works. They can be a bit iffy sometimes. Check the ignition valve is okay, because they can be a bit dodgy. Some of them have been messed around with aftermarket seat belts. This has got racing harnesses, but they could easily be removed if need be. Aftermarket radios are another thing which some people put on. This hasn't got a radio at all because it's Club Sport. But look out for dodgy wiring and dodgy immobilisers that have been added afterwards. Other than that though, they are pretty good.
So just the usual sort of stuff. Yeah,
one other thing, the odometer can break on these, which means taking the whole dash out and getting it sent off. Yeah, a little tooth breaks inside, so you've got to be sent off. So make sure as you drive along, it clicks along a little bit.
Okay, yeah, so what is there to watch out for on the engines, or are they also perfect?
Well, they're close to perfect.
Yeah.
It's a big lump, it does fill up the engine bay.
Yeah.
One thing you've got to bear in mind, it's got these engine mounts, which especially on the exhaust side can fail, and then the engine drops down. Now you don't see the engines drop down, but when you drive it, you get a very harsh, noisy ride. Okay. So that's something you need to bear in mind. Maybe check the history file and see if it's been replaced. Make sure that the cam belts have been replaced when they're meant to be replaced, which is the service interval on these cars. So regular oil changes, regular servicing, and make sure the car's been looked after and cherished. The suspension bushes are fairly good. I mean, there are various bushes which need replacing in time. So again, it's a hard ride on a Club Sport, but if it feels rattly or overly hard, it might be worth checking. And of course the dampers are getting old, so it's quite nice to see a car that's had new dampers fitted.
And between 944s and 968s, what would be your pick?
Well, the 968 is definitely a better car. You've got a 6-speed gearbox, you've got a bit more power, you've got this restyled bodywork. I think Porsche did a really good job of restyling it.
Yeah.
All they did was put a new front and rear end on.
Yeah.
The middle stayed the same,
Yeah.
but it looks so much more modern.
Yeah.
And it still looks modern today.
Yeah.
If driving-wise, they're similar. It doesn't take much to make a 944 drive like a 968.
And with the 944, between the turbo, is there anything else you should look out for on top of the normally aspirated car?
The turbo, you've got to look for oil leaks on the turbocharger. Make sure it's been, again, looked after properly.
Yeah.
Some of the turbos have done high mileages, they're quite tired and old.
Yeah.
They were used as everyday cars.
Yeah.
In fact, most of these cars have been used. It's very rare to find a 944 or 968 with a low mileage. This has done over 100,000, but it's been properly looked after. You've got to look at mileage as part of the bigger picture. Look at the mileage, the service history, the condition, and if it all stacks up, a high mileage car is a great buy.
That's great, thank you very much, Phil. Guys, if you're going to buy one of these, please do. I especially have a sort of a fondness for 944 turbos, but you know, they're good all-round cars, so definitely don't be afraid to get hold of one. They're pretty simple, they're fairly robust, and as Phil has said, the buying guide actually is quite brief because there isn't a huge amount that you have to watch out for. Thanks very much for watching, and see you for the next one.